There was a time when James Corden could do no wrong. The cheeky British comedian with a wide smile and quick wit seemed destined for greatness. From his breakout role in Gavin and Stacey to his unlikely takeover of American late night television, he built a career on charm, self-deprecation, and a disarming sense of fun. Carpool Karaoke wasn't just a viral hit, it was a cultural phenomenon. Adele's episode alone racked up more than 250 million views, and celebrities lined up to sing with him. For a while, James Corden wasn't just a TV host, he was a global superstar. But today, that image has collapsed. The James Corden we once saw as a lovable everyman is now viewed as arrogant, entitled, and fake. His downfall wasn't one big scandal. It was a slow unravelling, a death by 1,000 cuts. So how did James Corden go from beloved national treasure to one of internet's most mocked celebrities? Corden's story begins in the UK, where he first found fame in Gavin and Stacey, the sitcom he co-wrote and starred in. The show earned him BAFTAs, glowing reviews, and made him a household name. What audiences loved most was that he felt like one of them, funny, awkward, and completely relatable. That charm carried him across the Atlantic, where he stunned Broadway with his performance in One Man, Two Governors, winning a Tony Award and catching the attention of American producers. Suddenly, James wasn't just a British sitcom star, he was international. So when CBS tapped him in 2015 to replace Craig Ferguson on The Late Late Show, many doubted he could connect with American viewers. But he didn't just connect, he reinvented late night. Instead of relying on traditional monologues, Corden leaned into sketches, games, and the internet. Carpool Karaoke became his crown jewel, with celebrities from Michelle Obama to Justin Bieber lining up to write Shotgun. Overnight, James Corden became the golden boy of late-night television. But behind the infectious smile, cracks were already forming. Off-camera, colleagues and industry insiders began whispering that the humble everyman persona was more of an act than reality. Stories trickled out about diva-like behaviour, arrogance, and a tendency to treat those beneath him with less respect than he showed A-list stars. For years, these were just rumours, but then came the scandal that changed everything. In 2022, Keith McNally, owner of the legendary New York restaurant Balthazar, publicly blasted Corden on Instagram. He called him a hugely gifted comedian, but a tiny cretin of a man, accusing him of berating staff over a meal and demanding free drinks. Singing with Adele in a car was now seen as the guy who yelled at waiters. And once the internet turns, it rarely turns back. But the Balthazar scandal wasn't an isolated moment. Clips resurfaced of other celebrities clashing with Corden. In 2010, Sir Patrick Stewart publicly humiliated him at the GQ Men of the Year Awards, accusing him of being unprofessional on stage. Rather than handle it gracefully, Corden snapped back, creating one of the most awkward award show exchanges in history. Other comedians, from Ricky Gervais to his former co-stars, have taken thinly veiled shots at him. Hollywood, it seemed, had been tolerating James more than celebrating him. That tolerance wore thinner as he spread himself across film. For years, Corden was everywhere, voicing Peter Rabbit, Trolls, and even the Emoji Movie. What should have been fun family films started to feel like oversaturation. Audiences didn't want more James Corden, but Hollywood kept pushing him. Then came Cats. The 2019 musical was a disaster, destroyed by critics, mocked endlessly online, and Corden's performance became one of his easiest targets. When he and Rebel Wilson presented at the Oscars dressed in full cat costumes, the laughter wasn't with them, it was at them. The problem wasn't just bad roles or bad press, it was the collapse of relatability. Corden built his brand on being the underdog, but by the 2020s, he looked less like the everyday guy and more like a smug celebrity drunk on his own success. Clips of him interrupting guests or dominating conversations made their way online,
and fans began to see him as someone who always wanted the spotlight. Even carpool karaoke lost its magic when it was revealed he wasn't actually driving during certain shoots. What once felt authentic now looked fake. By 2023, ratings for The Late Late Show had slipped, and the viral segments weren't hitting like before. Then came his announcement. He was stepping down. Publicly, James framed it as a family decision. He wanted to return to London, but for many, it felt like a quiet retreat. Late-night insiders suggested he left not because things were great, but because the heat was too much to handle. The fall of James Corden wasn't a sudden crash. It was a slow unravelling of the very qualities that made him famous. Once beloved as the underdog, he became overexposed, arrogant, and out of touch. Audiences no longer saw themselves in him, they rolled their eyes at him. Hollywood, once eager to book him, began to look elsewhere. And the internet? It crowned him the title no celebrity wants. Most annoying. But here's the real tragedy. James Corden hasn't lost his talent. He's still a skilled performer, a natural comedian, and a proven writer. He could easily return to British TV, focus on theatre, or even work behind the camera. But talent isn't enough when an audience decides they're done with you. In entertainment, the one thing harder to regain than money or status is goodwill. And that's exactly what James Corden has lost. He's lost the relatability that carried him from a small-town sitcom star to one of the biggest entertainers in the world. And when audiences stop rooting for you, the game is already over. The question now isn't whether James Corden can reinvent himself again. The question is, after everything, does anyone actually want him to?